Today I'm going to be installing this 1000 watt pure sine wave inverter. It's by PowerTech. It has some really good reviews on Amazon. We already have a 2000 watt Xantrex inverter installed. That's our inverter and charger, and we use that to run things like the microwave, the air conditioner, and all of the outlets in the camper. The reason I'm installing this is to deal with the fact that when we run a high load device, say the air conditioner or the microwave, they have a tendency to cause a low voltage situation when they start up. So it makes the voltage of the inverter dip down enough that it will reset some of our computer equipment. So that means while we have the computers running, I don't dare to run the microwave or the air conditioner, which kind of defeats the purpose of having the inverter in the first place. I thought about upgrading to a 3000 watt inverter, so we had a little bit of extra wiggle room power-wise, but I don't like that because, first of all, they're rather expensive. I would have to recable everything, and it may actually not solve the problem because such high load applications draw a lot of amperage, especially the air conditioner. So even after I installed a 3000 watt inverter, I still might get that low voltage situation for a fraction of a second, and that would be long enough to cause my storage device to reboot. This is our QNAP storage device, and this is what keeps resetting on me every time we run the AC or the microwave. So that's our main thing that we need to protect. This will be dedicated just to computers, and I can probably safely leave it on 24 hours a day. Its idle power usage is very low. I'm hoping that this will be the beginning of a series that we're going to be putting together on all of the power upgrades that we're doing to our camper. Most of it's geared towards boondocking, and we started mentioning some of this in our 5 boondocking essentials, which if you haven't seen that, I'll leave a link to it up here. So this video is only going to cover the installation of this. So we have this neatly packaged inverter. Looks like it has some rubber feet. That's actually a great idea. Pretty basic. I guess I'm used to dealing with more complicated inverter chargers, so this should be a breeze to install. Just has some regular outlets, has a USB charger. This is the remote power switch. It includes these cables, maybe 4 gauge. I usually don't trust the cables that come with inverters. They're usually the cheapest possible quality. But I'm not going to be using this thing at really high wattages. I would say on average maybe 200 watts. So I think I'm actually going to use these since they're already here and it saves me from having to buy new ones. If I notice that they're heating up, I'll replace them in the future. So I'm realizing now just how loud the inverter fan is, and I'm afraid that that's going to be picked up by the microphone during the entire video. The charger's off, the generator's off, and it's a lot quieter in here now. I hope that helps. I still need to find a place to put it. I just need to test fit everything and kind of see how it all fits. It doesn't fit where I thought it was going to fit. I was really hoping to get it back here, but there's not enough clearance for it. So it's kind of back to the drawing board. I'm not really sure where I'm going to put this, and while I think about it, I'm going to show you the rest of our setup. So our batteries, these are our distribution blocks, main cabling, main fuse, that the batteries go directly to the fuse, and then that feeds these distribution blocks. This is our 2000 watt Xantrex inverter charger. It's an older model, they don't make it anymore. This is the main electrical box. This is our main fuse panel and breaker panel. Down here I have the inverter control and a Renogy battery monitor. So I have some cables to replace. The cables going to this inverter are older cables I don't want to use anymore. I have some newer cables by Spartan Power that I want to use to install that. I'm considering putting the inverter down in this space, down under here. Decisions. If these cables were longer, I could possibly put this back here. That would give me space there. So I took a look through here and I realized that this white cable, it's long enough for me to move this distribution block over here. This is a work in progress, and especially when I'm going to be doing the alternator charging system, pretty much all of this has to get pulled apart and put back together. So this is more of a temporary solution. Alright, so that seems to have worked. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is just a piece of press board I put in there as a separator to keep all of this stuff from sliding out while we're traveling. So now it looks like possibly a little tight, very, very tight, actually, extremely tight. It does fit, but boy, it's extremely tight. Wow. These are the hoses for our Aldi system. It's a circulating hot water system, and these are the rubber, basically radiator hoses. I'm not going to mess with those. Those just can stay wherever they are. Limited options. At least this separates the positive and negative. They're pretty well protected, but I still have the envisionment of dropping something in there that would have contacted both sides, and it just would have blown my fuse. So I found another spot that might work. This was part of our office build, and the inverter fits neatly under here. Now this is normally covered with a false floor. This is also where the power is for the computers. So this might actually make sense. There's more airspace under here for cooling, and if I remove this or cut it, might even be enough space. Oh, look at that. That's awesome. So it looks like these cables will fit right through here. I don't even have to remove that. So there's this opening down here. I don't really like that, but it does reach, and it'll obviously reach here. Let me take this panel off and see what it looks like under there. In case you haven't noticed yet, I use my Leatherman for almost everything. I recently lost it. I had one for like 15 years, 12 years. I use it like 100 times a day. I would say for me it's the most valuable tool that I own. Half the camper is held together with bungee cords and zip ties and command strips, so I don't need too many tools for that. Oh, I'd have to remove this whole thing. Alright, I don't want to get too complicated with this because this is really a temporary installation. So I don't really want to disassemble too much. I do have a 70 amp breaker that I'm going to be putting in line for the inverter. I do have a main 200 amp breaker for this, but because you want to always use breakers and fuses for the size of cable that you're using, 4 gauge cable is rated at way less than 200 amps. I did order this on Amazon. It's a Young Marine 70 amp breaker, which is actually less than what the inverter is capable of handling. It's going to give me about a total of 900 watts before that'll trip, which is fine with me. I have no intention of maxing that inverter out. The DC positive cable was delayed in shipping for the inverter. So it's actually it's either 4 or 6 gauge cables. So because I need one extra cable, I'll use one of these as the extra cable that I need. I have to shut down the inverter temporarily, which is going to mean it's going to get pretty dark in here. Aha! I just remembered I have this light. It's an older model. It's by Ozark Trail. It's a Walmart thing. You can hang it. You can use it like a lantern. I really, really like it. So anyways, I'll use this for now while I'm doing this so that you guys can see a little bit better what I'm doing. These distribution blocks, I looked on Amazon and I was afraid of finding something really flimsy and would break. I'm actually quite impressed with these. They're very strong. They give you plenty of connections, and the threaded posts are tall enough that you can stack up a few connections if you need to. They come with these plastic covers and just these little acorn nuts. They're plastic acorn nuts that thread on the top to hold it all together. Yeah, these are really, really excellent. And I was afraid that during the installation with these big cables on it that it would snap these plastic ends off. They haven't broken. I'll leave a link in the description. Anyways, back to work. So these cables are 0 gauge cables from Spartan Power. I love the quality. Just like so. So that arced because I was reconnecting the inverter, and I suspected that it might arc. I thought it might still have a charge in it. There's some large capacitors inside of all inverters, and when you connect them the first time, they have a tendency to spark. I don't really have a good option except to close my eyes and tap that just to give it a quick charge, And then I can reattach the cable with the mounting hardware here. And we should have light. Now, there we go. And I think I'll install the breaker probably right here. It does come with that remote off-on switch. That still means that it's on. So if I were to have a problem with it and wanted to shut it down completely, I can actually do it with this without having to disconnect the cables. I have a problem with getting anything in here, so I can't get a drill in there. I can't really even get a screwdriver in there. But I may actually have to use my Leatherman. I like the fact that I can use this as kind of a shorty, and it fits in here. I do have stubby screwdrivers somewhere in the truck. Where to install my breaker? I'm not really sure why I can't get that. It is so stuck. No, I don't want to take the batteries out. I don't want to dig all of this apart. I just want to install this breaker. This plywood is very, very solid. It's really, really hard to screw into. I can't get a drill in there to pre-drill it. No, that screw is just completely bound in there. I was able to get these out, but not that one. Batteries are in the way. Alright, I got a pair of mini vice grips. I'm hoping that's going to let me clamp onto the head of the screw and twist it off. Yeah, I'd say there's something wrong with this screw. Wow, wow, wow. That was really, really hard to get out, even with pliers on it. It's hot. It's all these little things that make these projects stretch on forever. But I can reuse it. I don't know if I'll be able to screw it back in or not, but that's the plan. Alright, I officially don't like that screw. I can't move it. I think I'm going to rename this video just how to remove a screw, or how I can't remove a screw. Boy, that is a really, really difficult screw. That's a little too short. Luckily, I have a whole box of miscellaneous screws. So that screw is going in much easier. I was able to get this cable installed, and that runs up to here. I'm going to probably zip tie it a little bit. Now I just need to make the connection from here. I do have the circuit breaker off, so I'm going to make this hot, but that side will stay cold. Alright, so that's connected. I'm going to connect up this other cable. Alright, this is still off. I have my connections over here. They're not live. So unfortunately the camera died on me, so I lost a few minutes of what I was doing. I got the cables connected. I'm gonna flip the breaker and see if it comes on. And it does not. Power on. Ah, there we go. I guess you have to hold the button for a second. We have our handy dandy multimeter. We're gonna see what we're getting for voltage. Look at that, 120.4. Perfect, exactly what it should be. Alright, tight enough. If my computer's shut off, I'll know why. Alright, so like half the things in our camper, I'm going to attach this with command strip Velcro style stuff. I am going to clean everything with rubbing alcohol first so that I get the best possible adhesion. Considering the inverter is laying flat on the ground, I only need to stop it from sliding around, and these things will be perfect for it. I also don't have space to get in there with screws. So these are the command strips. They peel off in sections, and they're not your traditional Velcro. They kind of click together. And when they're installed on something flat like this, you'll have to push down on it pretty hard, and then it will just go click, and then that's it. Nice strong connection. Isopropyl alcohol in a spray bottle. And I'm probably going to put those here because it's a nice flat surface. I would imagine that some of you think I'm crazy for using this to install this, but I have a lot of confidence in these. They've worked very, very well. These are their bigger ones because the camper is something that we'll most likely sell in the future. It's really nice when we don't put holes in everything. Easy as pie. And down here, I just want to secure these to something to prevent any chafing. All right, I'm going to turn it on. Excellent. All right, so the last thing that I'm going to do is pass this cable for the remote power switch through the back, just around this corner. Plug it in. And now this should have to press and hold it. So that's not too bad. So now the fun part is just cleaning everything up, but that's pretty much it. It works now. That was much more complicated than I had planned on because of finding a mounting location. The place I thought I was going to put it, it just wouldn't fit. I know this isn't a normal dinette setup. We also have this slide-out table, and this is our office desk. I did a full video on how we built this. If you guys are interested, I'll leave a link to it up there again. We have a whole bunch more coming out about boondocking and our power system. Don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell icon so that you get notified when we post new videos. And if you have any questions about anything that I did in this video, please let me know in the comments. I'm going to get everything cleaned up. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.